the fact that UniCredit was able to acquire 4.5% stake in Commerzbank from the government means that government was aware of the attempt. However, the news came out to say that the government was surprised by UniCredit's move. So it's a little bit interesting dynamic going on. But we do notice that the political risk is probably one of the biggest hurdle to UniCredit's attempt on Commerzbank, because we think financially and strategically the combination makes sense. But the union's opposition is definitely something to take into account as a potential risk to the merger.
So, could we, if this deal does go through, or if they make some progress here, do you think we'd see more cross-border bank M&A?
Yeah, I think this is like a lighthouse of European cross-border deals, because if this one goes through, then it opens doors for more possibilities in other countries. But if it doesn't, then maybe it would discourage other banks to think twice, because on paper this deal makes total sense. But if this one doesn't go through, then a lot of the other banks would think maybe it's not worth just spending all the efforts just to come to no conclusion.
What kind of, let's just say it happens that we get a Commerzbank plus UniCredit sort of tie-up. What would the new UniCredit look like in relation to some of the other big banks, like a Deutsche Bank, et cetera, in Europe?
So Deutsche Bank and UniCredit are quite different. So Deutsche Bank is more focused on the investment banking business, whereas UniCredit is pretty much retail and commercial.
Right.
If we look at UniCredit's its regional footprint, it has more than 10% market share in most of its operating market except for Germany. So it makes total sense for UniCredit to go for Commerzbank, because that would bring up its market share to roughly 10%. So that is a level that we consider sustainable for profitability. So it makes strategic sense. And then if we look at the numbers, we published a note of a sensitivity on this deal. It shows that UniCredit could at least make mid-teens return on invested capital if it can make the deal happen. And the CEO of UniCredit previously has said that mid-teens return on invested capital is the internal benchmark. So we did a little bit of stress scenarios, and even in a very stressed scenario, they can still deliver 14%, and in a better scenario, they can deliver 18% ROIC. So this means that their internal benchmark can be easily achieved.
Lento, I'm looking at some of the larger European banks, BNP, Crédit Agricole, Santander. What have they said in the past about their willingness or desire to, grow via acquisition? Is that something you might see the bigger banks trying to get even bigger?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if UniCredit could make this deal happen, then that would overtake BNP as the third largest bank in Europe by market cap. So that would definitely shift the power gap a little bit and make other banks think whether they should do something else as well. I mean, BNP is one of the potential buyers in our list.